Hello, everybody, and welcome back to JHR Backstage.
Hey, guys.
This is a follow-up episode to last week's episode, which was about my musical process of assembling an album under the name DJ Witchcraft. And we thought ended up taking up so much of that last episode that we thought we'd give Veras here a part two to talk about their work and upcoming, current, old, whatever it might be.
Sure.
So, yeah, I'm going to hand the floor to you, and this is going to be a you episode.
Oh, welcome, guys. You are in unsafe hands. So, my musical journey started when I had an iPod Touch and a magical little app called GarageBand. And I found those loops, and I found out that was, like, what we do now. I figured out that was a thing that you could do when I was, like 13 or something.
I had a very similar experience, except mine was an iPad mini.
so I just started making like random little tunes and little stuff, and like I wouldn't post them. I would just have them and like listen to them every once in a while. And then in high school, I created an Instagram page, my very first Instagram page, by the name of Ballad of the Snails.
I loved that name.
It's a very fun name. It's a very good band name. And it was just one of those things where I was like, you know, I needed an Instagram name, so I made one. That's literally where it came about. And I was like, Ballad of the Snails. And
which that name perfectly fit your personality at the time.
Yep, sure did. And so that eventually became my artist name. And it stuck. It stuck for a little bit of time, and I think under that name, I produced Through the World, which Through the World was very similar to, Through the World was like a collaborative album, where it was a lot of songs from me, but then I got songs from like you and Dan and our friend Flynn, and I made sure to credit all of you guys when I released them, and that was like the first album I ever made, and I really liked it. I thought it was pretty good. I still think I think it holds up okay now. Obviously, I've gotten better, but I still think that some of the songs in there are pretty good. And then I think I did Through the World Reimagined, which was literally just I took the concept of the original album and then just did it entirely myself.
Was that the next one?
I think it was.
I thought there was stuff between that, but yeah, I believe that.
Nope, it was literally Through the World, and then a year later I made Through the World Reimagined. And I did it all myself that time. I took all the concepts and just redid it myself with some new knowledge that I had obtained through the app. And I think that was the last album I made with the Ballad of the Snails handle. Yeah,
there might have been like a single or two after that, maybe.
But like
that's the last major release.
Yeah, it was Ballad of the Snails, and then eventually, once I kind of got the cartoon branding going, which is what that's still the era we're currently in, is like the old TV cartoon branding. I decided to officially declare myself as the Sketched Out Orchestra.
I love that name.
I do too. I think it's an incredible name, and it fits well with the theming. And I'm really glad that a younger me picked such a good name to use, because I never abandoned that aesthetic. So it was just something that like has still stood to this day, where I can still use it, and I don't think I'll ever not use it. Kind of a long name. Unfortunately,
it works for what you do, though.
Exactly, and so I think it's fine.
It doesn't matter if it's long; it's easy to remember, especially with your overarching brand.
Yeah,
like I know they're not really anymore, but your characters, Cuban Sphere, were kind of involved in the early days of Sketched Out Orchestra. Like
they live on more as an homage now. Yeah. Like the whole the music artist pages pays a musical homage to those characters nowadays, where like all of the artwork is based off of like their design stuff. Same with Buyers of Entertainment, because they were like the mascots for a long time, and now they're like more obscure and abstract versions of them. But yeah, so after that, I will say, as it currently stands, for my musical releases, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 8 albums. I have That's not right. They put the EPs in the. It says I have 12 singles, but some of those are EPs.
Yeah.
And a lot of you, if any of you have listened to my music, you will notice that there is an album called VHS Arcadia, the Vaporwave album.
Yep.
And it's labeled as an EP. That is because Spotify changed their EP standards in 2020. So it got shifted to an EP instead of being an album.
Yeah, my Power to the Players is part of my albums now and not my singles, even though I consider it an EP.
Yeah, so it's a weird thing of like they changed it, so now it's an EP. It's still in the title of the album. It's just called VHS Arcadia on Spotify, but the album art still says the Vaporwave album. And at this point, I have just labeled it as like that's the joke.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get rid of it because I think it's funny. But my process behind making music is pretty similar to how you do it. But for me, more, it's just like I will just wake up one day and be like, I'm going to make some music. And I sit down with my phone and my headphones and I just start writing out songs. And I search through the loops. I'm like, oh, like, is this good? Is this good? Is this good? Is this good? And I try to find loops that fit well together and that sound good in tandem with each other. And I have since greatly expanded my knowledge of this app where, like, some of the loops you can change the instrument that's being played, like the pitch, the tempo of the entire song. And you can also, if you double the loop, if you have it twice, but then you change the instrument of the second one or you change the octave of the second one, it produces a really nice effect on it.
That's actually the only fact that you just said that I didn't know.
Try that.
Yeah.
It produces amazing results, and I have some songs actually that are coming out soon that make use of that. And I have some ones in the works that do too, but it's literally just I'll sit down, I'll make a song, and then like eventually like I'll either start making music with the idea of like I want to make an album, or I'll just make music, and then eventually I'm like I have enough for an album, and then I just kind of like put it all together. So it's kind of one of those things where like I have an album called Concept to Cancellation, which was literally just I was making music for a bunch of projects. They never came to be, so I released the music because I liked the music. And I had 2 volumes worth of that. And it's always something that I enjoy doing is making these little tunes and all this music. And it's literally like the process is literally just I sit down, I make the song. It takes me a few hours, if even. Sometimes it'll take me an hour at most. And I'll just be like, yeah, that sounds good. And then I export it to wherever I export it, and then that's it. And the song's done. Sometimes I'll listen to it, go back, modify it, re-export it. That happens a lot, especially nowadays. But it's just the amount that I've learned with this app and the amount that like I've been able to achieve in what has now been 4 years of making music is staggering to me. Because like I go back to like Through the World and I'm like, oh wow, this is very simplistic and very like I can tell the structure of this very easily. And then like I go to like Traditionally Electric, which is the latest release, and I play a song and I'm like, what is happening? Like, and it's like, and it sounds good, but it's like it sounds more like a real song. It sounds more like something you might hear on the radio or on YouTube or something. And so it's just something that I started getting more and more excited about making music because I started learning more stuff and getting better and better. And I'm like, yes, this is so much fun. And it's something I really enjoy doing, and I haven't stopped. I literally made a song yesterday. Because I've got a bunch of stuff coming up. One of my biggest projects coming up right now is the Multi-Circus. By the time you guys hear this, I believe
it'll be out.
I think the Multi-Circus will be about 3 weeks old. 3 or 4 weeks old.
Something in that ballpark.
It's coming out July 22nd. You can watch it on VeraVision on YouTube. And it is a half an hour animated project.
I'm in it.
That you are in, yes. And it is a project that I'm very proud of. I spent 2 months making it, and I think it came out really well. I think the music in it is really good. And I'm happy that the soundtrack will be coming out the same day as the project. Actually, the soundtrack's release date is what determined the project's release date. And so I'm just super excited to hear that because it's basically, I feel like it's like Oops All Bangers. I love it so much, and I haven't felt this confident about like an album in a bit. I think since like Welcome to My Dreams. Welcome
to My Dreams is one of the first ones that I listened to of yours and was like, all right.
Yeah. Now we're getting somewhere, yeah.
And it's funny, I noticed the exact same transition you did of like, I've been around since Through the World.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yes.
And like, I've listened to an album or two here and there. I've done physical distribution for you a couple times.
Yep.
And like, I'd listened to them along the way and I kept hearing them get better, but it was through Welcome to My Dreams that I was like, oh, all right, they're getting there. Like they're definitely getting there.
Yeah. And and with every new album I try to make some sort of progress. Or I try to do something unique or different and try to tailor it to the album. Like Welcome to My Dreams was just kind of like the whole point of it was supposed to be like an abstract journey through different areas of like a story or like the mind or something. And that's kind of what Welcome to My Dreams was. It was supposed to be kind of like an abstract, hard to follow album because that's what dreams are. And so like I just made a bunch of songs that I really liked and put them together, and it fits because it's supposed to be weird and it's supposed to be abstract. I personally really like the Archives. There's a few in there that I'm like kind of iffy on, but the Archives taught me a lot of new things. Like kind of doing the dual track thing and modifying specific things about certain tracks and modifying the instruments in some of them and stuff like that. And I would say the Archives was a learning experience that gave way to, same with Traditional Electric, as those were learning experiences that gave way to the Multi-Circus soundtrack and all my other future songs, because the Multi-Circus soundtrack sounds like, to me at least, it sounds like it took the concepts that I was learning and implemented them way better, and it just feels more natural now. And I'm really excited for everyone to hear it. And when it comes to picking like a theme, or when it comes to, stuff like that.
Yeah, your themes are a lot more out there than mine.
Yes, mine are a lot more strange and abstract. We're going through this. Let's even just go through the list here. Like, first one was like Through the World, and then Through the World Reimagined. Literally just going around the world, different parts of the world, different theme songs as if you're playing like a 3D platform or something. Pretty simple, makes sense. And then you got like VHS Arcadia. It's a Vaporwave album.
Yep.
That one makes sense. And then you've got, that one Spaghetti album, which is like, what the hell is, like, excuse my language. What is that? Like,
that one Spaghetti album came from the canceled project of Time Traveling Cup Noodle, didn't it?
So it was something like I had another project, and then like it morphed into that because like I wanted like a weird album, like I
think it was Time Traveling Cup Noodle or whatever you would call it.
I think it was
because it was the one you had a song called Butter or something along those lines.
Oh, that was Now with Cup Holders.
Now with Cup Holders, that's what it was.
That turned into VHS Arcadia.
Yeah, okay.
But
yeah, now with Cup Holders, that's what it was.
Time Traveling Cup Noodles, I think, was a song that came after that and was supposed to be a part of this weird concept, weird album that eventually I think became That One Spaghetti album. You don't have to listen to That One Spaghetti album, by the way. Actually, just don't.
That's one of the ones I forget exists in your catalog.
I forget it sometimes too. I love the concept of it because I think it's hilarious as a concept. The songs themselves are nothing to really write home about. There might be like one or two that are pretty good, but like for the most part, that album gave way to Welcome to My Dreams in terms of experimenting with sound. So unfortunately for that album, as funny as it sounds, it is a gateway album. So you don't have to listen to that one. I made like a bunch of singles like Dinner for One, literally a song about a microwave. I made a quarantine song. You'll never believe what that one's about. Welcome to the Show was just that was just supposed to advertise Welcome to My Dreams coming out, but I just liked that song so much. I think it deserved its own release. That one plays with like starting like it sounded like it's coming from like a record and then plays into an extra song and then ends on a record, which I love that. And I'm sad I haven't done it again yet. So I'm hoping that I get to do it again soon. And then Bloom for Brawl, which was my first time making or first or second time producing like a game soundtrack. I believe they used it, and I think you can buy it on Steam. BLOOMFER Brawl.
Did that game actually come out?
It's either on Itch.io or Steam. Yeah. It's somewhere, and I'm pretty sure you can buy it.
Oh, okay. I'm going to have to look into that, because I never knew that game even came out. I remember when you did the soundtrack for it.
I think it came out. Even if it didn't, you can listen to the soundtrack. It slaps. You can go listen to it. I almost said watch it. You can go listen to it.
You can watch it if you exist in the fourth dimension.
It's true. You could. And then I have like a lot of other singles that when Cartridge Crusaders relaunched, I wanted to make songs to cap off every time we finished a series. I'd make a song for it. I'm not doing that anymore, by the way. That is my first official announcement on this, I think. I'm not doing that anymore. It was way too much pressure. It exhausted my musical talent.
All of a sudden, each series lasts 80 episodes just so you don't have to, you don't have to think about it.
Yeah, it became a thing. I was like, I can't do this anymore. So Security Breach, Luigi's Mansion, and My Sims, you guys get the luxury of having songs. The rest of you, deal with it. So it's just, but I like those songs. I think they came out all right. Then we've got Lo-Fi Mall. Literally lo-fi songs as if they're being played through a mall speaker. I love that album.
Such a concept.
I love that album. I like the songs in it. The Electronic Loitering is like one of my favorite songs that I've ever made. And it is the theme song for Mousetrap.
Okay.
Which is a project that's going to be releasing hopefully soon.
I'm also in that.
You are also in that. But after I did Lo-Fi Mall and like kind of the traditional electric and all those singles and stuff, I was like, I kind of took a detour to started focusing more on, because I'm an artist. A lot of people may or may not know this. I'm an artist, and I'm an animator and a writer. And so I took some time away from music to start doing what I'm actually supposed to be doing with my life. And so that's where the multi-circus came from. And I put my musical talents to use for that and made a score for that. I produced a score for Mousetrap as well, and I remixed Electronic Loitering for the theme song for Mousetrap as well. So it's not just Electronic Loitering now. Now it's like a slightly varied version that has a bit more energy to it. And I'm currently working on a soundtrack for another project that I can't talk about just yet. That's a part of my final for college that I'm very excited about, because it ties into the Multi-Circus's grand story as well. So be on the lookout for that in like a year. But that's been something that I've been really happy and excited about, is I've started producing scores and soundtracks, and my music has gotten a purpose. Because before it was just like, I'm just making albums like to get me through a certain point in my life, or I would just felt really creative and wanted to make one, or just had a bunch of songs and figured I'd release them. But now it's like I'm designing them with purpose. They're actually going into like these bigger projects. They're not just music. And so I'm just gradually improving. And it's exciting. And like, I recently made a song to play in front of like the Bioprism Entertainment logo called March of the Bioprism, which was originally called Please, Keep Going. Because originally I designed that song to be it starts off kind of like somber, but then gets like more intense later on to kind of give you this, like, you're starting in a bad spot and then getting better. But I liked how it sounded so much, I repurposed it and changed the name of it. And so that's kind of the thing with how I create the titles for these, is literally like, I'll make the song and like I'll listen to it like while I'm making it, and I might listen to it like another time or two, and I'm like, what does this sound like to me? And I give it a name. Sometimes I'll give it a name. Sometimes I'll think of a name and then make the song. But most of the time it's like, I'll just be screwing around. I'll make the song and then I'm like, this sounds like this.
I've tried title first. It doesn't work.
It does not work.
It never works.
It does not work. Because then it becomes like a trope thing. Mm-hmm. So you want to be careful with that. You always want to write the song first and then the title afterwards. And that's also where a lot of like the score stuff came from. And like they play during specific parts, but like, you know, you have fun with the names too. Mm-hmm. It's like Mousetrap has like has a song called Mouse.trap because that's the website name that they have. And it's, in the Multi-Circus, there's a song called Fixing Mistakes because of where it plays. The Heart of the Multiverse is a song that has been catching everybody's attention recently because it's one of my better ones. And
I still need to watch the Multi-Circus.
Well, it'll be out.
Oh, I know.
In 2 days, so don't you worry.
As of the time of this recording.
Yeah, so I'm just, I love it. I'm so excited, and I've taken on this like role as like an animator / composer, and so like if somebody's like, hey, I need you to make some music for me for a project, I will do it. Or if I need music for my own project, usually I will do it because like I don't really know any composers. Like I know you,
yeah,
and then I know your friend.
Yeah.
Who does it too, but I find that for me, it's just personally, I'm like, I know the vibe I'm going for, and I should just do it myself because like I feel like I can just get it done, and I know exactly what I want, and like it's just something that like, and also music gives me something to do when I need something to do. So it's been a lot of fun to produce these stuff, to make the album covers.
I was about to ask if you wanted to touch on that because like
yes,
mine are a lot more thematic. Like I have a general theme. I have my mascot Spellbot that's in like all of my album covers.
Yep.
Yours are a little bit more all over the place, so I want to hear some of the process of like album to album.
Yeah,
how that comes about.
To start with, Through the World, that character on the front is a character that I've had since I was in elementary school. Mm-hmm. Their name is literally Chibi.
Chibi, nice.
And they were, funnily enough, I made that character before I started wearing red shoes and a blue hoodie. So it was funny that I had that character, started wearing that outfit, and then started reusing them.
It was a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Literally, yeah. So it was just funny to do that. But for that album, is literally like I just want a character on the front, in front of a world or on the world, and like the world is like this big, colorful sphere, and like you're in space and stuff like that. So that one was very specific, where I was like, I just wanted to include the character because I was going to tell a story with this character. I didn't end up doing it, and I probably never will. But there was supposed to be a story with this character where they're traveling around the world. Through the World Reimagined was literally the same concepts, just from a different angle, literally, because they're looking up. And the same thing, I was going to tell a story with it, and you can kind of tell what the story is if you listen closely to the songs in the album. It's literally like you start with a dream and you end at your house. Because the first track is Dreams, and the last track is Home Sweet Home. Okay. So it's literally like you start with a dream, you go around the world, and you come back home.
I haven't listened to that album in a really long time, yeah.
It's fine.
I probably
like
wouldn't have
old.
I probably would. Is it only 3 years old?
2019.
Oh.
Yeah. I know, it feels a lot longer than
I thought
that.
you did that in like mid-high school.
Even if I started working on it in high school, it didn't get released until 2019.
Well, that's fair, because I guess that is fair, because the first DJ Witchcraft album was at the end of 2017.
Yeah.
So and that was under DJ Witchcraft at that point, not me.
Also, 2020 was like 3 years long. So, but anyway,
yeah, we are mid 2022 right now, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. But anyway, so with those ones, that's kind of what it was. That one, Spaghetti album, it's just spaghetti. VHS Arcadia, I wanted to create a vaporwave type area, so like the ocean, you're on a beach, it's like a pink and blue sky with the vaporwave TM sun. And then the ocean is like broken up into like this polygonal type thing, and then I put a character that I had made. It's a kappa, because they just fit with the theming of it, and they're sitting on the beach.
Was that the same kappa you played in on one of our last campaigns?
Yes,
yeah,
it was.
Yeah.
But their character has since been rewritten once when I started using them for
Well, yeah, I assumed so.
Which is now their permanent
the
personality.
same Kappa that we played with in D&D is definitely the one on your Vaporwave album, because those two personalities match.
Nope. No, but yeah, so for that one, it was like I just wanted to create like an aesthetic that was Vaporwave. Welcome to My Dreams was interesting because that one was... Again, had to be abstract.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I love that cover so much.
I love it too. The silhouette is actually the old artwork of me from the Cartridge Crusaders when you were on the show.
Oh, okay.
That's literally just like the version of me from that, and I made a new version, slapped it on the cover, and then added a rainbow trail behind it. This was also around the time that I started my LGBT journey, so it was kind of interesting with those parallels of like things were kind of rough at that time. I was still figuring things out, so I put like a version of myself with a rainbow trail with a very strange and abstract theme, because going through the process like that is very confusing, and so that's kind of where the idea for that one came along. Some of them are pretty obvious. Bloom for Ball is just artwork that I made
game.
For the
yeah.
game, for the centered around the game, inspired by the game is what I meant to say. Traditionally Electric is actually a screenshot from a comic I made for school, and the Lo-Fi Mall is it's a mall in the shadows of a vaporwave sky with a very complicated logo that I love. And a lot of them are just kind of like, some of them are pretty simple where it's just a text in the background. Some of them are inspired by whatever game logo the series is for, like for those Cartridge Crusaders ones. And so like when it comes to like the scores and stuff, obviously those are artworks inspired by the projects, made for that album cover. And that's just kind of where most of my album covers come from, is like I try to think of the general theme of the album, and I try to make something that's either completely obvious as to what it is or something that's a little bit more abstract to what it is. And so I kind of bounce back and forth between those from time to time.
I was refreshing myself on your discography.
I was like, he's probably looking through
I've seen most of these before, but it's been quite some time.
Yeah.
Also, through the original Through the World was 2018. That makes a whole lot more sense to me.
Yes.
I had forgotten Reimagine was a year later.
Yeah.
Because I was like, 2019 couldn't have been Through the World, the original Through the World.
It was 2018.
Yeah, okay. 2018 makes me feel a little better.
Yes.
Yes. I was like, there's no way Through the World was 2019.
No.
Anyway, yeah, all right. Good.
No, yeah, totally. But yeah, it's been really fun. It's been really interesting. There's some songs that I make just for myself, but most of the time they get released. I just really enjoy making the music through the app, especially with all the new stuff that I've learned. And I literally just push myself to make it sound more and more like a real song every single day that I try it. And I think I've gotten pretty close. And I feel like I'm getting really, really close nowadays. And I don't know. It's my creation process behind a lot of this stuff is so chaotic that it's hard to pinpoint because my life in general is very chaotic. And so like when I'm like, I'm going to do this, and then I just do it and it's done and then it gets released.
Yeah, you'll tell me about a concept and then like
it just shows
I'll move on to something else, and then like a couple weeks later you're like, here it is.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, right. You did mention that.
Yeah. So like a lot of my albums are really just like I sat down, made it, and then a month later it's out. And I think there are a few that have been an exception to that. Like I think Welcome to My Dreams and the archives took a bit more time because Welcome to My Dreams got severely delayed because of school.
I remember that.
I think it got delayed by like half a year. It got delayed by a very long time. I'm glad it got delayed because I got to put more time into it and I worked on it on my own time. This was also at the butt end of quarantine.
Yep.
So I had one class in person and I was making that music before everyone else showed up, because I would just drive there, get there super early, and start making music. During breaks, I'd make the music, and that's where. And Welcome to My Dreams was also, I think it came after the quarantine song that I made, Mad Dash to Safety.
Mm-hmm.
And both of those songs kind of have similar messages of like, you know, it's very confusing right now.
Yep.
For me personally and for everybody in the world right now, it is extremely confusing. So let's try to channel that into an album or music. And then you've got the chaotic ones where I made a 3-minute song about a microwave.
Sometimes it's just really fun to have just a stupid idea and run with it.
Yeah, I love like some of my best ones are the stupidest
ones.
Yeah,
it's no fun just being serious with stuff all the time.
It's true, yeah. And like a lot of like I have some songs that are like updated versions of other songs. Like the Multi Circus took an old track from a different album and remixed it into a different version of that track. And I love doing that too, where like I take something that you already know and remix it for a different project. So it's like you get that familiar feeling of like, oh, I've heard this before, but it's different. And you're kind of reliving it. And it's something that I love doing. That was one of the main inspirations being on the archives. But having fun with this is my big thing. I just want to make music and I want to be creative with it. And that's really it. But yeah, so whenever people are like, "Oh, what's your process?" I was like, "I don't know. Even myself, I don't really know." I
scream into the void, and then an album comes out.
Literally, yeah. I screech, and then music is made, and I'm like, sick, and then I release it. Like it's great. It's fun, and I hope you guys enjoy our music as well. And if you want to find me, the Sketched Out Orchestra. You can find me everywhere. I'm on all musical platforms, even ones that I've never heard of, but DistroKid assures me that they're there. So if you want to go check those out.
I turned a lot of those ones off.
Yeah. But if you want to go check those out, especially a lot of my later ones are everywhere, and have fun with that. I hope you enjoy them. And then watch the Multi Circus. Go to VeraVision and watch the Multi Circus. You've already listened to this, but finish to the end. And then go watch the Multi Circus. VeraVision.
If you're on YouTube, which I think most of our statistics say you're not,
open a new tab.
I was going to say if you're on YouTube, I'll put it in the description.
Yes, please.
Because by the time I upload this to YouTube and it gets released, it'll be out. But I think I have the link somewhere anyway because it's just unlisted right now.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Thank you for listening.
That's all time we got today.
Yeah.
Glad we got 2 parts out of this. This is great.
Yeah, me too.
We'll be back next week with some more music shenanigans. Not really sure what our topic will be yet. We usually decide them when we get here.
Yep.
But because it's a lot more fun that way, and it's easier to make it more current to the times, if you will.
Yes.
But yeah, see you all soon.
See you later, guys.